Thank you very,
Okay,
very much, Gina
fantastic.
and colleagues. Uh, you have just heard Parul. She has given the overall vision of UN Habitat, that what in the global context, what UN Habitat is doing, and how the process of sustainable urbanization is being steered and addressed by by UN Habitat globally. I have tried to focus that on more country-specific situation, because we are at the end of the day, the entire challenge will be met when we are able to address the situation as effectively as possible on the ground. So, from that perspective, I have picked up my topic to focus more on the country level, which is very rapidly urbanizing. Can we go to next slide, please? So I have just, as you know already, that the urbanization is a process which gradually, addresses the gradual increase in the proportion of people living in urban areas and the ways in which each city adapts to change. So, in fact, this change is from rural to urban, and the movement of people from rural to urban is the main force that derives urbanization. And the sustainable urbanization then is to manage the process as effectively as possible to have better results, and to address and overcome the negative impacts of the urbanization, because it is, at the end of the day, it is called engine of growth and development. So cities have to be really the good engine to push the economic growth. And we, the South Asian countries, we house 60% of the world's population. So our biggest challenge is to really demonstrate in practical terms how do we address those challenges and make the cities engine of growth and development, so the poverty can be eradicated and we leave no one behind. So can we move to next slide, please? Uh, Another one, next one. Yeah. So now you see that Pakistan is, as I said, is most urbanized, because it has 220 million population, and urban population is moving fast, very rapidly. The rate of growth is more than 2.4 percent. So we 47% of the population lives in 9 major cities, and more than 50% of population of the major cities live in slums. So just see that the major cities have almost half of the population living in these quarter settlements. So this is something very important to note. Can we move to next slide, please? Yeah. So here you see that the green one is the rural and the blue one is showing the urban growth. So how rapidly the population urbanization process is moving fast. So we need to really address the challenges. And we move to next slide, please. So the impact of this growth needs to be managed, and the areas of where we need to address those challenges include like urban management. So management is one challenge. What happens there, because the management becomes ineffective when the institutions do not have the distinct roles and responsibilities, and the land ownership is divided into many different institutions, and the public ownership is fragmented between municipality, cantonment, industrial states, and many different actors. So, and each agency have their own building bylaws, land use and environmental control provisions, and therefore all these make the urban management quite difficult, and it is one of the challenges that need to be faced. And I believe that we are facing this type of challenges everywhere. Can we go to the next slide, please? The next is basic urban services challenges. What is happening is that the pace of growth is so fast that cities are not able to catch up with the need. So what is happening that informal and mushroom growth around the peripheral areas are taking very rapidly, and it lacks the in the delivery of basic services. The urban authorities cannot keep the pace. One of the reason, most critical reason, is that the revenue base of the local bodies institution, that means the third tier of the governance, is extremely mm, uh, 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 deficient of the revenue resources, so that they can address the challenge. So they have to look up to the provincial government or to the national government, and that is really not a good scenario. It needs to be more strengthened and addressed at the local level. Otherwise, this challenge will be extremely difficult. So we go to the next. Housing challenge is similarly, the demand is the backlog is already 10 million, and it will double up in next 10 years, and the number of the delivery of housing is only 0.15 to 0.3 million, while the estimated supply covers only 50% of the new demand. 30 to 50% of the urban dwellers live in Kachi Abadis, means the slum areas. So it is housing is one of the bigger challenge as well. Now, environment challenge. Environment challenge is that due to unmanaged and unmatched capacity of the institutions to deliver housing, basic infrastructure, and other basic urban services like transport, housing, water, sanitation. So ultimately, these are coming back on the environment. The cost of environmental degradation was assessed to be 6% in 2006, and it was assessed again to 9% of the GDP. So the cost of environmental degradation, and what is happening, that it is also worsening the impact local climate of the major cities, like urban heat island phenomena. The cities are so densely populated, and the heat is trapped in the brick and mortars in the cities, and the temperature rises even sometimes more than 50 degrees Celsius. So just imagine that the many people die during the summers because of the trapped heat in the cities. So we go to next slide, please. Now, sustainable cities and communities. Now, the challenges, I have just tried to give you a flavor of what is the situation on the ground. So, after when we see that these are the situations, then what do we do, and how do we really try to manage the challenges? So sustainable development is the goal 11 is the goal which the world has adopted to address this challenge, that which aims to meet the the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs is so just imagine that when the deficit itself is so high, then the generation which exists at the moment is unable to meet their own needs. Then how do they save and protect the earth, the earthly resources to leave it behind for the next generation? It is really a very big challenge, but the aim is to consume and fulfill your needs in the manner that leaves behind enough for the coming generations also to meet their own needs. So what is happening that the water demand is so acute and so serious that we are consuming the underground water, we are consuming the fresh water resources, everything is at a stress. So while the goal is to consume to the limit where it regenerates and replenishes. So this is the challenge. Now we go to the next slide because I need to catch up. So the sustainable cities and communities or goal 11 has these pillars where we need to address it. It has environmental dimension, economic dimension, and institutional dimension, as well as the social dimension. So this we need to carry forward and focus on the all the pillars so that we really are able to achieve the our goal under SDG 11, which aims to change the present situation that happens in big cities. The main vision is to creation of sustainable urbanization, which prosperity will be flourished. But I have that is why I have connected with the real life situation that you can imagine that how difficult or how challenging is this to on one side the aim is to really address or find the manner in which the needs are fulfilled, not only fulfilled for the present generation, but is left enough for the coming generation to meet their own needs. So I will not dwell much on this because Parul has already explained our global targets and our challenges that we have. So SDG 11 highlights the needs to reform to achieve environmental goals and achievements of
Excuse me, you have,
urban
yeah.
agenda. Again, you know that Habitat 3 has adopted new urban agenda in 2016. So what happens that it reinforces the SDG 11 and lays down the way in which we can really it can help to achieve the goals. So the new urban agenda was adopted in 2016 at Habitat 3. It provides a roadmap for implementation of the SDG 11 and building cities to serve as engines of prosperity, centers of culture, cultural, social, and well-being, and protection of the environment. So, whereas the real life situation really demonstrate a very pathetic situation, and that is the situation on the ground. Provides a guidance for achieving sustainable development goal and provides underpinning for actions to address climate change. So climate change is also really impacting very fast. It is, we will please go to next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. So urban planning, the actions on the ground that are required to be taken is to formulate national, provincial, urban policies, regulatory framework, and special plans, strengthen financial and technical capacities of local cities and governments. Here, UN Habitat in Pakistan is helping to the government to have climate resilient urban policy. So the climate resilient urban policy is being developed and being supported by the UN Habitat in Pakistan. Green building guidelines to reduce the climate change impact in cities. As I said, that the urban heat island phenomena is extremely serious in our big cities. So we have already developed the green building guidelines, and 5 million housing program was launched, and Clean and Green Pakistan program was launched after release of the report or study state of cities report. Then the government launched two programs to address this. One was Clean and Green Pakistan program, and another was 5 million housing program. These were two responses piloted by Pakistan, UN Habitat in Pakistan, to achieve the objective and overcome the urbanization challenges. So the urbanization and environment, again, for improving the urban environment, as I mentioned, that the Clean and Green Pakistan, it had 35 indicators on basic urban services and the quality of life. So the process is moving forward to achieve these objectives and address these challenges. We go to next slide, please. Urban governance and legislation. So actually, the governance and legislation is the key for bringing about the change, a sustainable change that can really bring out and show up the results. So make governance system more responsive, efficient, accountable to control all kinds of challenges, improve collaboration between government, civil society organizations, private and public sector participation. So these are very important measures that needs to be taken to strengthen the process of change. Urban economy is, and like I said, that LED, we have launched a local economic development program in Pakistan. So local economic development is, first we try to identify the vision, that what people think through a collective process, and then we try to push up the economic growth of those local nodal, I mean the cities that are picked up into this, that they can deliver and bring more, contribute more to the economy. Housing and basic services, next one. Next slide, please. Next, next. Yeah, housing, yeah. So remove bottlenecks such as acquisition of land and standardized building components. What is happening here, that through the UN Habitat support, we are digitizing the land records of all the in all major cities of the province, and this is the way by which the regulation of land management will be improved, and the land use plan and the land use control will be much more enhanced. So this is all these are the efforts to address those challenges. I have that is why I have tried to link up the challenges with the and then the responses, that what we are doing or what needs to be done across the South Asian countries. So, we go to next slide, please. Yeah. South Asian cities need to better plan and manage their development to meet the needs and demands of their citizens. To prosper, cities need to be more responsive to the needs of the environment and respective of available resources, and to adapt and adopt technologies and economies that are less wasteful and destructive. This means taking more realistic look at what needs and can be done without compromising to our local as well as our global future. So, now I have given you the another dimension where Parul had focused on our global objective, on our overall framework, how do we operate? And I have tried to relate it to the real life and the local situation in Pakistan or across the South Asian countries, it is more or less the same. So these are the challenges and these are the ways by which we can address our challenges and we can achieve sustainable urbanization. Thank you, Gina. Back to you. Thank you very much.